video is for dads who are stuck. They're looking for a way out. And they've tried a lot of things before, but they continuously find themselves coming back down to being stuck again. So I'm going to show you here today why you're stuck, what is happening, what are the mechanisms that are keeping you stuck, and then most importantly, how to get out of it. Okay, so it's very much a demonstration so you can understand the key metrics of what particularly happening to you. So let's crack on. So in terms of why are you here right now? Well, if you're a dad, you're going to find yourself stressed. You're going to find lack of sleep. You're also going to find yourself deprioritizing. I'm not going to write that full word. Deprioritize. You're also going to be lack of focus down. And also a change of identity, a big change of identity when becoming a dad. I experienced that a lot. I no longer wanted to go to the gym. I no longer wanted to go to the gym. I no longer wanted to have to eat a strict diet. You know, I wanted to be with my family, and it clashed with my old identity. So the becoming a dad just clashed with my old identity, my old methods of trying to stay in shape and be healthy and fit. So why else you're stuck is because you're in a loop of doom. And there are parts of this that are more obvious and there are parts of this that are less obvious. And I'm going to show you around the loop of doom. So here we go. I'm going to just draw this out. So we're going to start off here. Now you could be at any point of this loop, but we're going to start off in drift. And drift can look like all of the things I've just mentioned. It can be a lack of awareness. It can be a lack of sleep, stress, anxiety, and knowing that you're not doing the right habits. It's going to feel like weight gain. It's going to feel like weight gain. It's going to feel like stress. It's going to feel unaligned with who you are. Okay, so lots of people drift. And it can last anywhere from one day to the rest of your life. Amazingly. And people can stay drifting for the whole of their lives and not realize they're drifting. I personally drifted for about 6 or 7 months and gained about a stone in that time. So some people can gain tens of kilograms in this drifting phase, and you're stuck there because I'm going to show you in a bit, because of this loop. It's a self-perpetuating loop that gets stronger each time. So the second stage is panic. Okay, now panic initially you probably think it can be a good thing, and we'll talk about that in a bit, but usually it's not, because panic can happen when you look in the mirror, when we're trying on clothes, a comment from somebody. We can get other forms of panic with the photos or videos, and you're going to see yourself, fitness test. Okay, so lots and lots of different cues for a panic. Me personally, I tried to try on some clothes before going on holiday that I hadn't worn in a while, and they didn't fit anymore. And then I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, didn't really recognise who I was anymore. So I was 186 pounds and now 171 pounds, and I managed to get myself out there. Now the next phase, which is something I used to get stuck in a lot, is the effort phase. And once again, this can last one day all the way to the rest of your life, but rarely does. It rarely lasts that long. And what this is serious mode. you're serious, all in, 1000%, diet, no friends, no social life, extreme training. And that's why loads of people, when they do effort, you'll see them go up and up and up and up, and they could do this for a long time, and then crash. They gain all the weight again. And that's because their whole system is built on effort. And once you realize that effort is just part of this loop, and actually it's no better than any other phase in this loop. If anything, actually, because the higher you climb, the bigger you crash, the bigger you may drift, etc. So it's really dangerous, the effort phase, and people get stuck in that and they think that's them being good, when actually it's actually just part of the same cycle, the same loop. Right, next phase is crash, and this is identified here, right at this point here. And this can happen when a change of environment occurs. Change of environment. It can just happen through fatigue. That's a lot of people. Hunger. Exhaustion. Just the usual stuff. Me personally, when we were in Spain, I'd done 3 weeks of effort. 4 weeks of effort, I lost a few pounds. And then we got to Spain and I crashed. We were eating out all the time, meeting family, and I couldn't handle it, and I crashed and came back heavier than when I started trying a month ago. Now, I have had phases in my life where I've been trying, I've had effort for over a year or two. So, like I say, it's not time. How long you're in effort for, the effort phase for, doesn't matter, because the crash is inevitable. And when it happens, you feel like you're out of control, when really the reason why you feel out of control is because you're in this loop. Alright, so the final stage of the doom loop is, let me see if I find a different colour, this one, defeat. You accept defeat. And this is where you start to really build up layers of mental defeat. So it could be, I'm just a dad now. I'm a dad. So, I'm going to have the dad bod, I'm going to be a little bit heavier, I'm going to be unfit, etc. It could be that it always happens to me. Happens. I'm bad luck. Just luck. I'll try and improve my handwriting. It could be, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Any of these self-beliefs. And then this defeat will then lead into drift immediately. So using these psychological kind of cruxes that you've developed, then you're going to lead into drift. Me personally, it was I'm a dad. This is just the badge of being a dad, is being out of shape, struggling a little bit with my weight, etc. So that is the loop you're in. Now you might go, well, I'm not in that loop. You are, and the system chooses you. If you don't choose your system, then it will choose you. And this loop can last for the rest of your life. I noticed, actually, once I got out of this loop, I realised that I'd been in it a lot longer than just the dad phase. It's just that being a dad made the loop happen faster. Because when I was in my mid-20s, I managed to lose weight. I gained weight at university. I drifted at university. I then got into the panic phase. Oh my God, I've gained loads of weight. I then became like an ultra-distance runner, put loads of effort in, lost loads of weight, but inevitably crashed. Went into doesn't matter, gained a bit of weight again, felt defeated, told myself that, it doesn't really matter, don't need to be like this. And then I drifted again, and then I panicked, and then I realised I actually need to go in the gym now and start lifting weights and eating loads of protein, loads of effort, and then I'd crash again. So this is just a cycle that's been going on for me throughout my whole 20s. So the key thing is, though, that people look at this wrong. Now, you do need a system, because a system is how the world works. The world works in systems. And what people don't realise is, if you don't choose the system will choose you. And that is this doom loop below. So let's pick a different system. So you're drifting. Okay? What we need to look at this, instead of a loop, our system now is going to be a staircase. So this is the first level, is drift. And you might be here right now, you might be with those false beliefs of I'm just a dad, it's okay, etc. You might be here and you could have been here for a long time, and that's completely fine. But what you got to realize is most people at this point, I'm going to draw this, they panic. Okay, and then I'm just going to follow this around. I'm going to draw this down. Panic then leads to effort, which then leads to crash, which then leads to defeat, and then back to drifting. Okay, so there's the loop. But we're going to escape the loop at this point. This is a really key point. So instead of panicking, I'm going to have a nice blue colour. Instead of panicking, we're going to become aware. Massively important. And awareness is non-effort. Notice that word. It's not effort. What we're doing is not effort. Okay, it's just starting to notice what's going on in your day. Now, this could be simple things from food choices. It could be steps. It could be mindless eating, you know, with those moments when you just find yourself eating. It could be too many nights out. It could be too many takeaways. It could be lack of sleep. It could be too much work. It could be anything. Me personally, I was mindlessly snacking in between lunch and dinner. We were eating too many takeaways and I was drinking too much at that time for the amount of activity I was doing. So this awareness here is crucial for changing who you are. Not panic though, and you're not doing it from a place of what you do. You know, you're not being horrible to yourself. You're just noticing issues, and it's very different from panic. Panic is a rush. Awareness is slow. We want to do this slowly, guys. Habitual change, which is what we're looking to do, happens slowly. Happens one at a time. So when you panic, you try and change everything at once. Okay? We want to go one at a time. Why? Because it'll stick. Awareness sticks. And that leads to the next stage. So we're in that awareness stage. Start becoming aware of your habits and what's causing it. Let's go for a green colour. Then the next ladder is change. And this relates to this one at a time. So you become aware. You might say that you don't do enough steps. You don't weigh yourself. Food isn't great. Okay, pick one, change it. So I personally have these three things, the easiest things initially, because you're going to be relatively low energy, probably a little bit low willpower. You need to get your energy back. So I'd start off here and I'd increase my steps until I can do between 8 and 12k per day. So I'd increase my steps. Why this first? Because whilst you're walking, you can reflect. I'm going to write it here. You can reflect whilst you walk. You can work. It boosts your mood. Okay? There's so many positives here. It might not lead to immediate extreme weight loss, and it's not going to be the only piece of the puzzle, but if you can just start off by moving, it changes your feelings, it changes your emotions, it changes your day-to-day experience. So start off there. The other stuff is equally as important, but start off there. And then once you've ingrained this, once you've got to this marker consistently and it's no longer any effort, if anything, you love it, which you will become, then go for the next thing. Then start weighing yourself daily. Then add the food. Then start making tweaks to your food. Maybe get rid of this, tweak that out for that, etc. Get rid of the sodas that you're drinking every day, etc., etc. And then once you make those changes, the next step is patience. And I don't know why it's in red, because it's not a bad thing. And now it's just repeat the process. You're going to continue to be aware, continue to change. Once again, become more aware, make changes. Now, I would say that this is very different to effort. Okay, change is different to effort, because effort adds. You're constantly adding. It's more. You're doing more stuff, more exercise, getting stronger, getting fitter, eating better. You're constantly adding more on top. Can I do more? Can I do more? Can I burn more calories? Can I burn more? And that is unsustainable. Whereas change and awareness and patience is trying to strip back the issues. Once I got rid of my mind, once I first of all increased my steps and then got rid of mindless, I could then attack my mindless snacking and think, well, okay, I'm eating in the afternoon. I'm trying to hold on to the evening. What can I do? Right. Instead, I'm just going to eat some Greek yogurt with strawberries in that time period. And then I got rid of it. And then I realized, actually, if I just have a bigger lunch, I can not eat at all until dinner time, and I prefer that. And that's what I figured out. But I did it in steps. I did it in phases. First of all, I realized I was mindless. I was aware that I was mindlessly snacking. Then I came up with a strategy, and then I changed. And then I became aware that actually I don't need this snack. I'm just doing it now through habit. I'm going to just instead change what I'm eating for lunch. So it happens in steps, and stripping it back. And now all of a sudden it's not an effort. I don't have to compensate all the time. Effort is compensation to a faulty system. Whereas changing and becoming aware, that is where the true change occurs without it feeling terrible. So let's look at these steps then. So we have drift, then we become aware, non-judgmental, just start looking at yourself properly, change, and then final step, patience. And patience is not doing nothing. Patience is being willing to go there again and go up the steps again. So it's a staircase and a loop, as I suppose. So you realize you're drifting, then you become aware, you make the changes, patience, see what happens, then return back to the aware point, make those changes, and just continue this cycle of self-reflection. This is self-reflection. The first change you make is not going to be the best one. It's not going to be the most impactful, but it's the most important one. And if you can not panic, instead become aware of stuff, you will then be able to make those changes not from a position of rushing and enforcing effort. Instead, you're just going to go, oh, I probably could get a few more steps in, or actually I probably should stop eating that kilogram of chocolate at the end of the evening, or whatever, an ice cream tub. Just making those changes and being willing then to come back to the awareness phase without panicking. Okay? And you need something that validates this. We need a validation, and that's where weighing yourself is really important, and daily. Okay? Because if we can't validate this loop, this system, this staircase, then we don't know. And if we don't know, we risk drifting into panic. Okay? So we have to validate this. And that's why weighing yourself daily is crucial, but take the weekly average. Weight loss occurs week on week. It doesn't occur day on day. One bad meal isn't going to set you back. Several bad days is. So weighing yourself daily, but taking the average, follow the trend, not the fluctuation. It's absolutely crucial, but you need a validation of this loop, because then when we get to the patience phase, we can see, has my weight decreased? If it has, great. What changes can I make, or shall I keep it the same? If it hasn't changed, so when I increased my steps up, I realized I got to the patience part, tried a few days just like that. At the patience, few days, no change. Okay, I'm now going to tweak something with my food. and then tweaking the change phase, patience for a little bit, see the results, self-validation through the weighing daily. Yes, we made a little bit of improvement. What else can I do? And we're just going to keep going up this cycle until eventually you get to the point, and this is where it's automatic. Because you've made the changes slowly, because you've self-validated through the weighing yourself daily and you're confident in yourself, and you've built your self-esteem up now, you've got momentum. But this is automatic now. It's no longer effort. And that's where we're trying to get to, guys. You don't want to be in the effort phase. You want to be the kind of person that loses weight, maintains it easily. They can go out for meals and social events like I did yesterday and know that it's fine because I'm just going to return back to baseline. I've stripped back all my layers. All the stress is gone from my life. It's regarding weight loss, that is. And that's where I want you to get to. I don't want you to be in the effort phase where you're climbing, crash. We don't want that anymore. What we want to do is we want it to feel automatic. And the way it feels automatic is by following this system. Realize you're drifting, become aware of that, become aware of the things that you're doing, changing, making small changes one at a time, being patient enough to see the results, validate yourself through daily weigh-ins, and then repeat that process.